evening. I'm Kelda Yoon. Toronto police are investigating tonight the death of a 4-month-old baby who had been reported missing. Their investigation centered on a Midtown apartment building where the child was found late this morning. Dale Manukduk has more from the scene.
Police are still holding this apartment building here, 855 Roselawn Avenue. It's about a kilometer north of Eglinton West Station. What we know is that at 11:24, police received a call about a missing infant from a family member. When cops arrived, they located that baby, a 4-month-old, transported them to hospital where they were pronounced deceased. Here's what some residents in the building said they saw.
I just saw so many police and ambulances and fire engines.
When I came downstairs is when the police were all surrounding the first floor, what do you call it, like garbage room, wherever the compactor is or whatever. I was here when they took out the lady, and she was stoic. She wasn't injured, she wasn't yelling, she wasn't screaming, nothing.
A spokesperson for Toronto Police says they recognize that this is a tragic situation that raises a lot of questions, but no further information will be released at this time. So we don't know if there are any suspects, any arrests, any charges. We don't know which family member is the one who made that initial call. But local councillor Mike Cole was at the scene. He's been in contact with police. Here's what he had to say.
The baby was pronounced dead at Humber River, and the coroner is there. Has taken over the investigation so far, and the police at 13 Division are controlling the situation right now and interviewing interested persons at the station.
Councillor Cole has also been in touch with Toronto Community Housing. He says that they'll be providing support to staff and residents. I can tell you that I have been through this building and that police are holding the 8th floor. There are 2 officers stationed in front of a garbage chute, which has been caution taped off. And as you heard that one resident say, there is a lot of activity in the main floor garbage room. But police say there is no threat to public safety and that more information will be released when it's available. But just a tragic situation. A 4-month-old baby is dead. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
A Toronto man has pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in the stabbing death of a 16-year-old boy at a TTC subway station last year. Gabriel Magalhaes was on his way home on March 25, 2023, when he was attacked by Jordan O'Brien Tobin at Keele Station. The stabbing was unprovoked, according to an agreed statement of facts read today in court. O'Brien Tobin had text messages on his phone from that night revealing that he was planning to kill someone. Now, second-degree murder has an automatic life sentence, with the judge deciding when O'Brien Tobin can be eligible for parole. The Crown is asking for 16 to 18 years. The defense is seeking 10 to 14. A sentencing hearing is set for next February. The OPP are searching for several suspects after a man was robbed following a crash on Highway 410 in Brampton last night.
It's not something that we hear about every day. There have been some incidents. Police have been warning people about carjacking situations, but that isn't what this is. So it is a little bit unique in what we normally see.
It happened just after 8 p.m. when the victim's vehicle was rear-ended. The suspects and victim then pulled over between Sandalwood and Mayfield. And when they got out of their vehicles, the suspects pulled out weapons, including a gun and knife, and proceeded to rob the 20-year-old man. Police say the victim suffered minor injuries during the robbery, and they are looking for 3 to 4 suspects who were inside a red vehicle. There are troubling questions about the safety of electric vehicles after a recent crash on the lakeshore killed 4 people. Details of what happened aren't yet clear, but one survivor was seemingly trapped inside the burning car. Lisa Shing takes a look.
The haunting sight, I'll never forget it, her eyes.
Rick Harper still remembers using a metal pole to break the glass of this burning Tesla, freeing a woman, the lone survivor of a high-speed crash that killed 4 people in downtown Toronto in late October.
To find out there were 4, beyond words. I'll never be the same, you know?
Harper says none of the car doors opened from the outside, though we don't know what exactly happened.
Little latch right here.
It may not be easy finding the mechanical door release if power is cut off in an EV.
You're actually going to find it underneath this liner.
Advocates want more oversight, including when it comes to battery fires.
We need to take advantage of that greater awareness or alertness right now to step up our investigations.
The federal government has set an ambitious target. It wants all new vehicles sold to be zero emission by 2035. That means more lithium-ion batteries and more of the fires associated with them. In Toronto last year, the number of battery fires shot up 90% because of e-bikes.
They are hotter than what we would typically have as a normal combustible fire. They burn hotter and they spread quicker.
While that is changing how first responders deal with a fire call, researchers say the quality of batteries in bikes aren't necessarily the same as in passenger vehicles.
They give a kind of a bad rap to EVs, but the science is out. Really, they are much safer than conventional combustion vehicles.
Safer, though some are still calling for better quality control.
Almost all of the obligation lands on automotive companies in North America and Europe and anywhere else to check the quality of those battery packs.
Transport Canada tells us its standards ensure high voltage systems do not pose a risk post-crash, and it's involved in developing global standards for electric vehicles. But critics say that should have happened well before the cars hit the roads. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
The province is planning to bring in new legislation that it says will protect newcomers from being scammed by dishonest immigration consultants. Queen's Park reporter Lorenda Redekop has those details.
Kinjal Desai came from India and got a degree from Humber College in marketing. She only had 2 months left on her postgraduate work permit and went online looking for help getting her permanent residency.
They had good reviews. It was a highly rated consultancy firm.
The advice? Submit false documents to receive an extension to her permit at a cost of $6,000.
It felt really sketchy, like how he said it so seamlessly. Like, yeah, you can apply for an extension, like a dummy extension. Everybody's doing that these days.
Luckily, a friend suggested she get a second opinion from an immigration lawyer.
So fortunately, I was saved in the right time, but I see a lot of people doing this.
We're taking action to strengthen and protect our immigration program and crack down on bad actors, on scumbags.
The government of Ontario says it's adding new legislation connected to the provincial immigrant nominee program, which covers around 7% of all immigrant workers. It grants permanent residence for international students and other workers in in-demand professions, including healthcare and the skilled trades. The government is proposing fines for consultants caught breaking the rules and banning them from the nominee program, up to a lifetime ban if they withhold passports or engage in human trafficking, plus posting their names on a website.
But we know there are bad actors who exploit vulnerable newcomers, scamming them out of their life savings, lying to them with a fake job acceptance letter, coercing them into forging documents, jeopardizing their immigration status.
The provincial ministers repeatedly criticized the federal government for not doing more.
And we are stepping in to fix what the federal government has overlooked.
And they urged the Trudeau government to act to improve protections for other immigrants. Kinjal Desai did not apply through the provincial program, so the changes wouldn't help her. But she did recently get her permanent residency with the help of that immigration lawyer.
I was very happy and fortunate to take my friend's advice and find the good person, the right person.
The new legislation is set to be tabled next week. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
Numerous daycares in the province are now opting out of participating in the federal government's $10 a day childcare program. And this has left some parents feeling desperate. Today, they brought their frustrations to Queen's Park. Ali Chiasson has more.
$10 a day childcare was touted as a huge win for families, but just as the program ramps up, some cracks are showing. A group of frustrated parents took to the podium at Queen's Park to air their concerns.
The sector has been in crisis as the $10 a day plan has been rolled out.
The spaces for most are more affordable, but some say there aren't enough of them.
Our main childcare center has only 57 spaces, all filled, with 160 more on the waiting list. Getting a call for a licensed daycare feels like winning the lottery.
It doesn't help that several daycare centers are opting out of providing the $10 a day program, 14 in Toronto alone, like this one.
What does that mean for the cost? So it means that the tuition fee would jump from $900 to $2,100, But for us and for many of the other families who have more than one kid, it would mean that the cost would be about $4,700 a month.
Where are the families going to go when
daycares in this area are either for-profit and also pulling out of the national subsidy program, or the two nonprofits that are in this area are completely full? And like for us and for many others, we've been on the wait list for those nonprofit spaces for almost 4 years now.
Today in question period, Education Minister Jill Dunlop acknowledged that more childcare spaces could ease the pressure on parents, saying this:
Ottawa must provide more funding to ensure the sustainability of the program, lift the cap on for-profit providers, and give more flexibility so that providers can cover their costs and create necessary spaces for families.
Meanwhile, the Ontario Coalition for Better Childcare says those centres that are opting out of the $10 a day programming shows the need to invest in more city-run centres.
Because we know when we have those public assets, they remain in the childcare sector for years. That's how you actually build a sustainable program, not with for-profit centres whose commitment to this program is so weak.
I think that the owners are probably banking on the fact that their wait list is hundreds and hundreds of kids long, and I think they're hedging their bets that these families are going to pay the exorbitant fees because they don't have a choice.
That's something parents like Melissa Bruno want all levels of government to put an end to, so that families are not being priced out of much-needed childcare. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
Toronto could be spending millions to retrofit its fleet of heavy trucks in order to protect pedestrians and cyclists. Mayor Olivia Chow unveiled the plan today, which involves putting safeguards on the vehicles. Municipal Affairs reporter Sean Jeffords has more.
They're three simple-looking steel bars. But Olivia Chow has been pushing governments at all levels to see that side guards are installed on heavy-duty trucks for over a decade. And now that she's mayor of Canada's largest city, Chow's pitched a plan to make it happen on Toronto's fleet.
Finally. Yeah, I can't tell you what this side guard means. It means saving lives. It means less tragedy. It means safety.
Those rails block the space between axles. That protects pedestrians and cyclists from being pulled under the truck's wheels in case of a collision. And the city could spend $5.6 million to equip all of its trucks with them.
We have seen having protective railings in the side of large trucks produce 62% less fatalities, less accidents.
In 2011, as a member of Parliament, Chow introduced a private member's bill alongside families who lost loved ones in collisions with heavy trucks.
I'm calling on the trucking industries, calling on whether it's provincial or federal government to mandate these side guards immediately.
She says her pushback then fell short at the federal level.
It is mostly the lobbying effort of the trucking industry that stood in the way between Transport Canada making the right decision.
On Wednesday, the Ontario Trucking Association released a statement saying sideguard studies have produced conflicting data. While the OTA has no objection to a municipal requirement to install sideguards on government vehicles, the association maintains that any potential policy to mandate sideguards on all private vehicles would not accomplish the desired safety outcomes some political leaders imagine. This safety advocate says he supports the plan and would like to see it extend to hundreds of city contractors. But at a cost of $5,000 to $9,000 per vehicle, it could keep some companies from bidding on city work.
If I choose to be a provider to the City of Toronto, I should choose to be the safest provider. And if the mayor's given a little bit of a nudge in the right direction, I'm all for it.
The city's outfitted 30 of its trucks with side guards already. It estimates that 220 will be done by next December, and then all 500 of its fleet will be completed by December 2026. Sean Jeffords, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back. The head of the Parole Board of Canada is reconsidering her decision to prevent the families of Kristen French and Leslie Mahaffey from addressing their daughter's murderer in person at a hearing next week. French and Mahaffey were both teenagers when they were tortured and killed by Paul Bernardo 30 years ago. The longtime lawyer for their families said yesterday that safety concerns were behind the decision to deny his clients from confronting Bernardo in person. The decision sparked immediate outcry, and late today, a spokesperson for the federal public safety minister said he's been reassured that the parole board is, quote, exploring all possible alternative options to ensure the victims have the ability to read statements in person. In light of violent protests earlier this month outside of a Hindu temple in Brampton, City Council there has now passed a bylaw that it hopes will prevent something like that from happening again. Greg Ross has more.
I was very proud that our bylaw passed unanimously, protecting places of worship.
The new bylaw, passed at Brampton City Council, prohibits protest within 100 meters of any place of worship. It comes on the heels of this. A violent protest earlier this month outside of Brampton's Hindu Sabha temple. The mayor says he understands that Canadians have the right to protest, but he says not when it infringes on the rights of others to pray.
Well, the legal test in Canada is you can restrict one right where it infringes another right. And so our bylaw balances both the right to protest and the right to religious freedom.
The protest was organized by a group called Six for Justice. They say it was supposed to be a peaceful protest.
We're not infringing on any of their rights or any of their abilities to worship.
Kujit Singh says they were protesting diplomats from the Indian consulate who were there to perform official business with members of the temple. The Canadian government expelled 6 Indian diplomats last month, linking them to the killing of Sikh activist Hardeep Singh Nijjar last year.
We've always made sure that when we do protest, it's on public property, on public sidewalk or public areas that are designated for protest.
He says despite the new bylaw, they feel they have the right to stage a similar protest if it happens again.
If consulate members or diplomats appear in official capacity, then obviously there will be protests and they will meet a resistance.
Members from the temple say the diplomats were there helping Indian Canadians process paperwork related to passports and visas.
So they have no right to interrupt for a peaceful prayer or other services inside the temple.
Because the bylaw prohibits...
The Canadian Civil Liberties Association wrote a letter to the city of Brampton questioning whether or not it's reasonable to dictate where people can protest, providing they are in a public space.
The bylaw adopted today goes way further than what is reasonable, because it uses vague, subjective, and overly broad wording that will allow the police to prohibit peaceful and otherwise lawful protests.
People who violate the new bylaw could face fines anywhere from $500 to $100,000. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Raptors center Kelly Olynyk made a surprise visit today to a child supported by the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
People ask a lot of times, like, why you do this kind of stuff? And, you know, if you do a camp or an event or something with a room full of 100 kids, even if you make one kid smile or change one kid's day for the better, you know, it's all worth it.
The surprise visit was for Riley, who battled leukemia at a young age. Now, he previously was granted his wish to visit Universal Orlando and Disney World. According to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, nearly 4,000 children are waiting for their wishes to be granted. Khalil joins us now with a check on the forecast. And Khalil, it's been a really dreary, gloomy kind of week so far, right?
Definitely.
Are we going to see any sun?
Hopefully. Okay. Hopefully. That is the key. We got our fingers crossed. It looks like tomorrow might be the best chance of that coming into the picture. Don't have any precipitation in the mix right now for Thursday, but that's going to change as we start going through the rest of the week, especially into Saturday. So dry Thursday, but it's going to be cool. Some low temperatures. Rain returns, unfortunately, for Friday. Saturday, as it's looking right now, quiet Sunday. That means that might be your best chance to get any outside errands done. So this is where we were at today. We were at the 9-degree mark in the city of Toronto. Didn't get up to the double digits, more so to the east of the city. You did get up to there. Windsor, you saw the high in the morning, actually, around 11, 12 o'clock. Then the winds came in, the rain came in, and it really dropped that temperature very, very quickly. Overnight temperatures, it's going to start out not too bad if you're in the city of Toronto, around 6 degrees, but it cools down significantly as we head out the door tomorrow morning. So looking at 9 a.m., -1, and at the freezing mark in southwestern Ontario. So bundle up, be in store or be prepared for that. But the good news, you may need some sunglasses because they're expecting perhaps a few spots of sunshine around the GTA. That purple, that is snow flowers or snow showers, I should say, as you're going towards more southwestern Ontario. And as we go through the rest of the day in the city of Toronto, so once again, we're seeing maybe some sun through the day, but as you go towards the nighttime, that's when some overcast conditions move themselves in. That's when the best chance of rain comes into the picture too, also Thursday night into Friday morning. And that continues through Friday and into the start of your weekend as well. Winds also going to be part of the picture, not so much Thursday daytime while that sunshine is out, but when it does start to get overcast and it starts to rain a little bit, then more wind comes into the picture. So looking at Friday through the day today, and through the day, I should say, it's going to be quite windy. Looking at the next couple of days and that outlook, look at that Thursday. It looks like a really nice day. 6 degrees, though, a bit cool. Friday, Saturday, a bit of wet weather, 7, 8 degrees. Sunday, once again, we mentioned that trying to be the day that you get out and do some things outside. 8 degrees on Monday, maybe some rain as you head back to work for that day, Kelda.
Well, I like that there are at least a few spots of sun in there,
Yeah.
so not so bad.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Khalil.
Thank you.
And that's our show for you tonight. Thanks for watching. Have a great night, everyone.